Welcome back to O-Level Oasis. Today, we'll be working on topical past paper questions from Chapter 3, focusing on movement in and out of cells. This includes key concepts like diffusion, osmosis, and active transport. Through these questions, we aim to strengthen your understanding and enhance your grasp of the topic. Let's get started. Let's start by looking at the first question. It asks us to compare diffusion and active transport, carrying a total of 4 marks, 2 marks for diffusion and 2 marks for active transport. To compare these two processes, we can structure the answer as: diffusion and active transport are essential processes for moving molecules, ions, or particles. Diffusion is a passive process driven by kinetic energy, where substances move from a region of high concentration to low concentration along the concentration gradient, without requiring energy. For example, oxygen diffuses into cells for respiration. In contrast, active transport moves substances against the concentration gradient, from a lower to a higher concentration. This process requires energy in the form of ATP, which is produced through respiration. Active transport is crucial for functions such as nutrient absorption in plant roots and maintaining ion balance in cells. Next, let's examine an MCQ related to the mechanism of cholera. The question states that the bacterium Vibrio cholerae, which causes cholera, affects the cells of the intestinal wall by triggering the movement of chloride ions out of these cells and into the small intestine. This leads to a process that results in the excessive production of watery diarrhea. The correct answer is option D, because chloride ions entering the small intestine increase the solute concentration, causing water to move in through osmosis. This excessive water influx leads to severe watery diarrhea. The cholera toxin disrupts the normal ion balance, drawing water into the intestine and resulting in significant fluid loss, which can cause life-threatening dehydration if untreated. The next question includes a diagram that shows the water potentials of plant cells arranged in a specific order. It explains that a greater negative value indicates a lower water potential. This concept is important, so pay close attention. To determine the direction in which water will move from cell X, we must remember that water flows from areas of higher water potential to areas of lower potential, similar to how water naturally moves downhill. We will analyze the movement step by step. In the diagram, cell X has a water potential of negative 300 kilopascals. The two cells located below it have water potentials of negative 325 kilopascals and negative 290 kilopascals. Since water moves toward areas with lower potential, and we have been told that a greater negative number means a lower potential, we can conclude that water will leave cell X and move into the cell with a water potential of negative 325 kilopascals, as it has a lower concentration. In the next step, we will determine which of the lower cells has the lowest water potential. Since the cell with a water potential of negative 450 kilopascals has a lower value, water will continue to move in that direction. Finally, the water will follow the natural path and flow into the cell with a water potential of negative 600 kilopascals. This leads us directly to option B. Thus, our analysis confirms that option B correctly represents the direction in which water will move. Now have a look at another question. The concept being tested is active transport. The task is to identify the correct statements about active transport from a given list. The statements are as follows. The first states that ions move from high to low concentration, which is incorrect for active transport as it describes diffusion. The second states that ions move across the cell membrane, which is correct. The third states that energy from respiration is used, which is also correct. Since active transport moves substances against their concentration gradient, from low to high concentration, it requires energy, usually supplied by ATP. Therefore, option D, which includes statements 2 and 3, is the correct answer as it accurately reflects the key characteristics of active transport. Now, let's analyze a past paper theory question related to active transport and diffusion. The question requires us to identify two key differences between these processes. To achieve full marks, we must provide accurate and well-structured answers. First, we will write that active transport is an energy-dependent process that requires ATP to move substances across a membrane. In contrast, diffusion is a passive process that occurs naturally without the need for energy. This fundamental difference makes active transport essential for moving substances against the natural flow, while diffusion simply follows natural concentration gradients. And the second one, we will write, active transport moves molecules from an area of lower concentration to an area of higher concentration, working against the concentration gradient. In comparison, diffusion moves molecules from a region of higher concentration to a lower concentration, following the concentration gradient. This means active transport enables cells to absorb necessary substances even when they are in lower concentrations outside the cell, while diffusion allows substances to spread out until equilibrium is reached.